Hey, I'm Di Gillett, and this is the Power of Women podcast. We're a platform that showcases and celebrates the strength, resilience, and achievement of women from all walks of life. In each episode, I pose questions to my guests to peel away the layers to reveal the knowledge and experience that shapes their narrative. So if you're feeling unseen, unheard, or simply looking for inspiration, then the Power of Women podcast is a great place to join the conversation. Today's podcast, are you across the household finances? Are you as financially astute as you should be? Just a glimpse of what we're going to explore with my guest today, who is a self made woman. Her passion is empowering you with money in a holistic way, and her specialization is fueled by personal experience and setbacks, and she has established a unique business model by marrying money and belief systems. Julia Scott, welcome to the Power of Women podcast.
Thank you, Di. It's a pleasure to be here
Terrific. Julia, where did you grow up?
in Newcastle, which is a couple of hours north of Sydney in Australia. It was like a working class town, a steel town, not at all fitting with my personality, but I got through it, and here I am.
Well done. And what were the most valuable learnings from your childhood?
To me, it was watching my parents. They're entrepreneurial and they started their businesses from nothing. My dad immigrated here when he was 19 from the UK, and he straight away started a business with those little military figurines. They play
Oh,
more.
right.
Yeah, so he
The
started
war
that.
game style figurines, yeah?
Yeah, the little war games that, and, he'd hand painted them and he was selling them. And so if we cut forward to today, all those years later, that's now the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. So I, it's toys and hobbies basically he's branched into. So I grew up watching my parents build things like this. My mum was a chef as well, and she had her own restaurants. They worked very hard, but they had a very clear vision, and they did what, no one around us was doing this stuff. When you come from
Great role
a
models.
working class steel town, it's like everyone's like, why would you work so hard? Like, why would you do that? And I even remember my first job as a cadet in an accounting firm up there. I would get to work early and I would stay late, and everyone around me, even my manager, would get mad at me because they're like, you're making us look bad. Why would you do that? Why would you work so hard?
Mm.
This is where it all started. Yeah.
Of course, the behaviors and the work ethic was learnt over the dinner table.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it just was very different to the people who were around me at the time outside of my family.
Yeah. So you were a chartered accountant and previously a financial advisor to high net worth individuals, but I understand you suffered a rude awakening. What was that reality check, Julia?
It was divorce, and I didn't see it coming. And I don't think many people do plan on getting divorced. So I had married someone that I worked with. We were both accountants and financial advisors. We both earned really good money, and there was no need for both of us to work when we started a family. So I stayed at home and did all the things you're supposed to do as like a good woman and wife, and I loved that. Um, and then I was quite shocked when it didn't work out the way it was supposed to, you know? And I had to realize, oh my gosh, like I can't control everything here, And to cut a long story short, I ended up being financially cut off with two very young children, and I didn't have any money of my own. And I went from having
Ouch.
anything I could ever want to nothing. It was like a punishment. And And I just thought, how the hell did I let myself get in this position? Because I was the kind of person who always had a financial plan before I had children. I was very ambitious, all of the things. But then
So
I
did you
found
give that up completely? You had no visibility of the household
I
finances
still had a tax practice from home. So I was doing tax returns and startups for my specialty was women in fashion. And
and looking after other women, but not yourself.
yes, looking after other women, not myself. But the thing was, everything in my business was run through our family trust, and
Ah,
I wasn't even a director of the family trust. And there's no way I would advise any of my clients to set things up like that. But
learning number one.
yeah, I just,
Mm,
you trust and you don't sort of see that things could go wrong. And I just didn't see it coming. So I didn't even have access to my own funds. And yeah, I had to go to court and, it was a long battle, but I really did learn the hard way not to lose control of my financial independence.
yeah. So one could ask, how does a financial professional not consider their own financial security and independence? So what are the key lessons that you've learned from that situation?
I think the key lessons are that um, I had to realize that I had played a role in this because I just hadn't paid attention. And
Mm,
Um, well, I really don't want that for any other woman out there, whether she's in a relationship or not. I just want women to find it exciting and interesting and even sexy to want to be great at money and to take part in financial decisions, whether they're in a relationship or not, and just not to lose their way by just going down that pathway of the traditional social conditioning for women.
So if you look in that crystal ball, what was it that you missed? If you reflect back now, could you see what your vulnerability was?
I was just trusting. I was very, very trusting. And
Mm,
because you're taught, as a young girl to like, always keep everyone happy around you. I was a people pleaser as well. And if you ask
mm,
anyone who knew me around that time, I'm very different to how I am now. So these days, I'm decisive. I know who I am. I know what I want. I had no idea of any of this stuff when I was in my marriage.
mm. You say you can't change, but it clearly brought out characteristics and qualities that you'd kept under the radar.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. It's
Mm,
like you forget, once children come into play, there's this concept called matrescence. It's like
mm,
adolescence. But for women, it's when you have a child, you go through this transition and your body is never the same again. Your identity is never the same again. Your things change in you, right? So I went through that. And before children, I was very driven. I was very motivated. I was all of the things that I probably am now, but that maternal instinct kicked in, which is wonderful, and I don't
mm.
regret that at all. But I totally lost sight of my own
Well, you
identity.
became selfless. You weren't the number
Yeah.
one priority. Yeah. Mm,
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, that
mm,
kind of thing. Yeah.
mm. So we've seen this before where women have fallen victim to financial inequity in relationships. How are our money habits and beliefs established?
In childhood, so really in the first 7 years of life, what we see and hear and feel going on around us in our family unit, or even people outside of our family on the news, in movies, all of this stuff is establishing your belief system and your blueprint about what's safe to do
Mm,
and say and be when it comes to money or anything in life, really. Like how you do money is really how you do everything.
mm,
So for me, the belief system that I had picked up was obviously working hard for money because I saw my parents working hard. That was one of the negative beliefs that I picked up. And I've had to work hard myself to let go of that so that I can um, really trust that I can, there's an endless supply of money out there, and there's always another way to make money, and it does not have to be hard at all. This old traditional view of trading time for money, wealthy people don't do that,
You and
right?
I need to talk offline.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So you've said the biggest shift for me was taking control of my own thoughts and choosing not to be a victim. And there's a
Yes.
lot in that because the victim piece, covered a number of aspects of your situation.
Yeah.
How do you stop ruminating in the past and playing the victim?
Well, you have to, first of all, decide that you're not going to do that. I think that's the biggest thing, is understanding that you are the thinker of your thoughts, not the other way around. You are not your
Mm,
thoughts. Thoughts are transient, right? So if you think about it, when you were like 5 years old, the kind of thoughts you were having then are very different to the thoughts you're having now. It's not who you are. It's not your soul. They're transient. They come and go. Things you were thinking about last week, you might not be thinking about now, or even last year. So you're not your thoughts. So that's the biggest thing. You have control of your thoughts, and you can um, find a way to create new ones
mm,
that are empowering to you, ones that help you see opportunities instead of being afraid to take risks, ones that help you to move forward rather than stay stuck in the past. What's in the past is the past. You cannot change that. There is no
mm.
magic wand, no matter how much ruminating and worrying and replaying the situation in your mind
No
you
cancel
do.
culture in life.
No, you can't
Mm,
change it, right? And all
mm,
it does is simply focus more energy and attention on what has happened in the past. And your thoughts and your feelings and your words are influencing how you are acting in now, and therefore your results in the future. So all you can do is be present now, work out who you want to be and who you need to be in order to reach your financial goals, and be that version of you now, because
mm,
whatever you're doing and saying in the present now is creating your future.
mm.
And if you keep doing things the same way you've always done it, and you keep talking about things the same way you've always talked about it, or worrying about it, it's like negative manifesting, and you are influencing your future.
Yeah. So many households do have a structure where the finances are managed in part or in entirety by their partner. Is there a better way for couples to approach their financial responsibilities?
Well, I think you definitely need to have those conversations. And if you can't have those conversations, then that itself is a red flag. It's like,
Mm,
why would you want to be in a relationship with someone when you can't be yourself and you can't have conversations? So, the other thing to realize is you cannot change other people. All you can do is um, change yourself. You can't control other people, and a lot of the time we project these concerns onto other people, going, well, he or she needs to do this or that, or they should stop doing that. It's really easy for us to see what other people need to do to be better at something, but
mm,
what that is just a deflection of
mm.
looking at ourselves. And most of the
And
time,
nobody
whatever
wants
we're
to be
trying to
told
fix,
what to do either. So
no,
that creates its own
no,
conflict.
nobody wants to
Yeah,
be. Yes, and they're never, it's hard enough to change yourself, let alone if someone else tells you to change. Unless you really want it, it's not going to happen.
yeah.
So you need to understand that change is good, and all you can do is be the that you lead by example, right? You be the
Mm,
version of you that you want to be to get your finances in order. And by osmosis, your partner will notice this. And if you've already tried having the conversation and not responsive, you can't do anything about that. But you can be that new version of you, and they will see that, and they will notice it, and then they will go, oh, this is actually working for her. Maybe I should try this too. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
yeah, yeah. Terrific. Well, Julia,
Yeah.
coming up, we're going to talk more about our relationship with money and how we get control of our finances. So Julia, your story and it's a challenging one. There's no question, but it's not a unique one. How have you made it your business to assist other women with money? You've started a new business. Can you tell us what you've established?
Right, yes. Well, I started a business that could help someone in the same position that I was in that they had lost their way emotionally, energetically. They didn't believe it was possible for them to get their money and their finances together. And I wanted to put together that traditional finance aspect of how to have a plan, how to know where you stand, how to put your systems and automations in place, and how to invest. But more importantly, I believe the missing link was the mindset part, lifting your vibration, and to set up your surroundings to amplify that vibration and help you from all angles to be able to achieve your financial goals. So it was introducing the love and the luck components to the wealth,
Mm,
hence love, wealth
and
was the
luck.
name I came up
Yeah,
with. Yeah.
brilliant. So why is it so important to you? Because I can hear the passion behind this coming through, and you've put a lot of time and energy and thought into the aesthetics and the marketing and the
Yeah.
concept.
Well, I wanted to attract women, I suppose. Like men, I work with men as well, but for women, I just wanted them to see that it's totally possible for them to be great at money, and it's totally possible for them to have what they want. I wanted them to get excited about dealing with their money and find it really empowering and almost sexy to actually have your money sorted. And the belief system part to me was just the missing link. And I just was
Mm,
like, people need to know about this stuff because it's not about what you know. You can go and pick up any kind of finance book out there on the market, and there's so many of them, and they all basically say the same thing. It's just spend less than you earn and put your money to work and have a
stark
plan.
reality, that one.
Yeah, like it's not rocket science. It's like if you want to
Mm,
lose weight, hello, you just got to get your ass to the gym and you got to not, eat a better diet. So
mm,
it's not rocket science. It's the same with money. It's really quite simple. What the complicated part is the identity and the stories that we tell ourselves about what's possible for us. And this is the part that stops us from even picking up those books. Because if it was just about what you knew, librarians would be billionaires, right?
mm.
Because they've got all the information at a fingertip, but yet they're not. And even like a lot of academics, most of them are not that well off. They might know a lot, but they don't have the mindset and the vibration and the belief system to go with it and the drive, right? That's the part that I think is a missing link. And
Mm.
it's not really your fault as a woman if you have these negative belief systems because the whole system has been against us for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And as we discussed, the Sexual Discrimination Act only came in 1984 in Australia, and up until then, a woman couldn't get a loan without
Mm,
a male co-signer. Yes, there were
mm,
some banks that would do it, but like the majority of them, they didn't have to do it. So
yeah.
it's really only been 40 years. And when you look at it in that perspective, of course, this social conditioning we've inherited from all the women who came before us, especially in our family, that's
Mm,
influencing what we think is possible. And I just want to challenge women to say, why can't you have what you want?
yeah.
Work out what that is, what you want, write it down. And where there's a will, there's a way. You can't possibly have those desires if they're not meant for you. If it's a true
Mm,
desire from your heart, you wouldn't have been given that inspiration if it wasn't possible for you. You're not going to want to go and be the next Formula One driver, most of us. But there might be something that is particular to you, right? So you've got to
yeah.
be able to listen to that and you've got to accept that it's possible. And then you've got to work on your mindset and your words and your belief system and set up your surroundings to support you. And then just do the things you need to do one step at a time, be consistent, your success is inevitable, right? If you go to the gym every day, you are going to get fit. After 3 months of
Mm,
going to the gym every day, you can't not get fit.
mm,
It's the same with money. If you do the right things, if you lift your vibration, if you say yes to money making opportunities, and you work on your mindset to be able to even spot those opportunities, you don't have that filter going on, which is stopping you from even seeing the possibilities because you're assuming that it won't work out for you. This is all just self-imposed.
mm. So how do we stop or how do we change the mindset of banks? Because you touched on it before, and I know in my own right, in as a young professional in the 90s going to get a home loan, I had to provide a male guarantor, who in that instance was my father, because otherwise they wouldn't have acknowledged even my income, which was sufficient at the time to get the loan. And then even today, with a private bank relationship with one of the big four, with savings that are in my name, not in the household name, the
Yeah.
bank will still put through, private bank will still put through a phone call to my husband to talk to him about our saving strategy with money that is not his. Now, that, I mean, we could, for all they know, we could be separated and he may not know that I have this money. So, what do we have to do to change banks to support everything that you're talking about?
Well, I think the banks are going to get a rude awakening. And there was a McKinsey report that came out in the US in the last 5 years. And it said that by the year 2030, two-thirds of America's wealth will be in the hands of American women. Now, that's
Mm,
massive, and we are on
mm,
track to meet that. And Australia is not far behind. Now, everything's shifting very, very quickly. So, as we mentioned, up until 1984, a woman couldn't get a loan independently. Um,
mm.
and so you've got that change in the last 40 years. You've got women starting businesses at a faster rate than men. You've got the baby boomers living longer than their partners, and they're inheriting money, and they're also divorcing at a higher rate because they're not putting up with stuff anymore.
Mm,
So this is how wealth is getting into the hands of women. So it's a massive, massive shift, and the whole of the finance industry needs to start realizing that
mm,
women are basically 51% of the population. And if you look at a lot of their marketing and the energetics of their wording and their marketing, it's not always female friendly. And that those stereotypes a lot of the time are played out there. Even looking at setting, like I was talking to NAB Trade a couple of years ago about exactly this, right? And I was
mm.
reviewing their system. And when they give you sample data on how to put together a share trade on their share trading platform, the sample data was John Doe. And I'm
Of
like, what
course.
are you doing? Like, stop. Like, straight away, why
Yeah,
are you picking a man? Like, all of
yeah.
these little tiny little, they're all compounding and they stack on
Of
each other.
course they are. Doesn't
When you
sound
hear it,
significant, but
no.
when you compound it, it
Yeah.
is. Are we going to get to a point like with gyms where there's going to be an all-female bank because females don't trust males with their money? I mean, is it going to be as
I don't think
extreme
it
as that?
needs to be like that. And I definitely, I don't think it's an us versus them. I think
No.
like I do love the masculinity of all of that, but it's just about opening the playing field and being aware of the
Mm,
language that's being used and the colors and the branding, all of those little tiny things, just that awareness. And most of the time, 70% of financial advice out there and marketing is written by white old men for white
mm,
old men. So when you look at the financial services industry marketing, most of it is about what to do with your superannuation, for example. And a lot of women don't have superannuation because they haven't had that consistent flow of income and employment. And they
mm,
don't have the same pot that men have, and the consistent income that's still coming in. So it's a whole different way of managing money. So for a lot of women, they come into money through a lump sum, like an inheritance or a divorce, or, they've just started a business and yes, it started to take off, but most of the time it's a lump sum, and that lump sum is toxic because it's come from trauma. And
Mm.
if you ask a lot of financial advisors, they get very frustrated with these particular kinds of women because they don't do what they're told to do, and they don't sign the documents in time. They put it off and they delay, they procrastinate, because guess what? They don't want to be reminded of that time in their life. And analytically, they know what they should be doing, but subconsciously and emotionally, there's this sabotage going on. And until you
And
start addressing,
probably a lack of trust too, because it's possibly come through, if you say it's come through trauma, they're not trusting the advice
no,
they're getting because they don't trust
no,
where it's even come from.
there's a lot of different layers to this die. There's also the fact
Mm,
they think that this is just a one-off. So, they've got to hold on to it really tight, and this is all they're going to get. But it's just not true. There is an unlimited supply of money out there in the world, and you having more does not mean someone else has less. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You having more just amplifies your value system, and you're a good person. So if you're going to have more money, you're going to do more good things, and you're going to have the power
mm,
and the strength and the ability to reach further with that. So it's actually a beautiful thing. So, first of all, it's acknowledging all of these stories and identities and role playing that we've learned about women growing up and their relationship with money. It's looking at it and being aware of it, not judging yourself, and then choosing to think another thought about this, because a belief is
mm.
just a thought that you think over and over again. So you can change your beliefs by changing your thoughts. This is neuroscience.
Yeah. So we've got a somebody listening to the podcast today, and they want to take control of their financial future. How does a woman who's either relinquished control of their finance in the household, or in fact hasn't had any control of the family finances, change that situation without it being a combative
Yeah.
setting?
Well, you can start with a conversation, and if that doesn't work, as we discussed before, you can't change the other person if they're not willing to see it from your point of view.
You might
But what
change them out. You just
you can
might
change
exit
them
them.
out. Yes, definitely. That's always an
Yeah.
option. But I think the important thing to realize is that you can change yourself. So
Mm,
there's nothing stopping you from getting your own income stream. There's always a way to make money, just like there's always another pen. There's always another way to make money. And most of the time, we've never taken the time to think about this and what we can do and what our unique skill sets are. Now, the internet has really lowered the barriers to entry for making money, right?
mm,
And you used to, in the industrial age, you needed a factory to make money and change the world. And these days, all you need is a laptop. There's so much you can do. And don't underestimate that. Just brainstorm out all the different ways you can make money. You can start by leading by example, by changing your words and what you're saying, and stop saying nothing works out for me. Why is this? Why does this always keep happening to me? Because guess what? Your the neuroscience is that your thoughts are always trying to confirm your beliefs. So if you
yeah.
keep
Your
on
thoughts are the reality.
yeah,
Mm,
they will keep coming at you with confirmations of that. So you got to
mm,
change your words. You got to think more positively, because you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. So you get to choose what your thoughts are, and it starts with habits and just consciously making decisions from the moment you wake up, to maybe have some mantras in place that are really positive and empowering, and say them every day, even if you don't believe them at first, because eventually, if you say them enough, you will start to eventually believe them. Just like
mm,
going to the gym every day is going to get you fit. You will eventually change your thoughts if you say it enough. You
mm.
think about all those sayings you heard as a child, and over the years, your parents probably still say them. Like maybe it's, I don't know, something like rich people are greedy or something. This has just been a saying that you've heard over and over again. You can start a new saying, and you can look for the good in people,
Mm.
and Money
Are
is
you
simply,
living proof that you've changed your circumstances
oh, most
truly
definitely.
through this practice? Yeah.
Most definitely. The most amazing things have come into my life since I've been doing this work,
Mm,
raising my vibration, changing my mindset and my thought patterns and my beliefs. And like avalanches of money have come to me. I truly follow my intuition now. I don't follow my head. I follow my intuition. I never make a decision out of fear because it's always the wrong decision, especially when it comes to money. Like you
mm,
think about it. If you can
mm,
think of a decision in the past when you made the decision you thought was right on paper, but it felt wrong, it probably still was wrong, right?
yeah.
But you think back to a decision you made when you followed your heart, even though everyone around you told you it was wrong, and you never regret that.
Mm, it's
It's
fantastic.
Yeah, women are very powerful. And I think we forget this. You go back to the days of the witch trials when it was beaten out of us that, like, this intuition and this superpower that we have, we're the creators of life. We're
Mm,
actually have a super powerful intuition and we've forgotten how to use it.
yeah. So if you were to pay forward all of this rich lived experience that you have to somebody listening to the podcast today, Julia, what would be the most salient point you'd have to pay forward to that audience?
I would say know what you want, decide on what you want, write it down because you're 42% more likely to reach your financial goals just by writing them down. It's massive.
Mm,
You'd be surprised how many people haven't even thought of their financial goal or they're too scared of it. And that says to me that there's a money block at play because if you can't even have a conversation in your own mind or about what you want, it tells me that you don't even believe it's possible for you to have what you
mm,
want. So that in itself is just, it's such a small exercise and it's really easy to do, but people don't do it. So
mm,
start by doing that. And if you are having trouble coming up with something, ask yourself, why is this the case? Like uncover all of these underlying thoughts and beliefs about why it's not possible for you to have what you want, because it's just not true. This is something that you've learned. You are able to have whatever you want. And first of all, you have to be able to say it out loud and you have to
mm,
actually believe in it. And then you have to actually take the first step. And it will be scary because it's something you haven't done before. It's change. But change is where all the magic happens. All the magic happens outside of your comfort zone. And what got you here won't get you there.
mm.
You really do need to do something differently in order to move to the next level.
Yeah,
And I believe that starts with your having a goal and having the belief system to back it.
brilliant. So with all the hard work that you've done, what's a phrase that defines you today?
I think the biggest phrase that has been of use to me is a mantra that I started saying to myself years ago, which is everything is working out for me now. And
Mm,
it's true. Everything, even bad things in your life, they're all here to shake you up and move you to a different direction.
mm,
And if you can shift your perspective and start seeing life from a positive angle instead of what's going wrong all the time, you will start to spot all the opportunities
and
because,
you attract different people into your world when you're
oh,
projecting uh, that outwardly, don't you?
yeah. Oh, so many
Mm,
different people, like so many beautiful synchronicities will come into your life. And the thing, you can't make this stuff up. Beautiful things
mm,
happen. And
mm,
you meet the right people at the right
mm.
time. And you just, maybe if you're manifesting and setting intentions to bring in the money, maybe there's like a tax refund that comes through that you weren't expecting. Or for me, when I started doing this work, I had an inheritance come in that was totally unexpected from a living relative. And
And that's unexpected
and
because that
totally,
doesn't happen.
no, yeah.
Or
And this
not typically.
no, yeah, and this has happened to a lot of my clients as well. I had one particular client, and she set a goal to receive 100,000, and she thought this was coming through her business because that was originally kind of the angle she was
The
coming from.
target. Mm,
And then She rang me up and she's like, "You're not going to believe this." She says, "I'm still struggling to get my head around this." So some aunt from the UK had just emailed her and said, "I'm decided to give everyone an inheritance early."
Wow. And I'd be petrified of clicking on a link these days if that
Yes, it
happened,
was
that it's
like
a
that.
scam.
It was like
Yeah.
that because she hadn't heard from
Yeah.
this aunt
Wow.
for so long. She thought it was a scam. So she rang them. She rang her cousin or something, and he's like, "Yeah, no, this is legit." And it was like six figures.
Good heavens.
You can't make this stuff up. It comes in the most magical ways. And unless you open the door
Mm.
by even just allowing yourself to believe that this is possible, then how can it get to you? The universe is always conspiring to help you. We're the ones who's blocking it.
Well, we're going to put your details and the name of the business and everything in the show notes for this episode, Julia, so that people can find you, and if they are looking to have a conversation to change their financial fortunes and their relationship with money, um, they've got a way back to connect with you. So thank you so much for joining me today on the Power of Women podcast. And if you've enjoyed this episode as a listener, please be sure to share it with somebody else, because that's how we power the podcast. You can also watch us on the YouTube channel, Power of Women Podcast. You can connect with me via my website, powerofwomen.com.au, or follow me on the socials on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next time.